Alright, so your final score is 1. Click to play again. Okay, so the click to play again, all that does is it sets off the init function, okay, the initializer. So this is all good. What we need to do now is we need to make it so our score shows up in here, and so it updates as we eat the food, and then this will be the high score block. Alright, so to display the score, we want to go down here, and this function check score is basically to check the current score against the high score. Alright, so we don't want to put it in there, we just want to go below and display the current score. Okay, so this is easy. We already have our score variable which we can use. So basically we're just going to grab a div, and where is it? Score. I'm actually going to change these right now. I mean, this is for the score and this is for the high score, but they have the same class, and I shouldn't have did that. So I'm going to change these back to IDs. Okay, so that'll just be score. This one will have an ID of high score. Alright, and I think we got to change that in the CSS as well. Yeah, okay, so score, we'll change that to an ID, and high score. Okay, they're identical in terms of CSS, but not in JavaScript. Alright, so now what we want to do is go back to our script, and let's go ahead and grab the score div. With jQuery. You could use JavaScript too if you want, but jQuery is a little bit easier. So score.html. Okay, and then I'm going to put in the score. Actually, we want to put in some static text as well. We'll say your score. Alright, let's see. Load. Alright, it's not there, so let's see the console. Alright, so check score is not defined. We haven't created that yet, so let's just block that out for now. Okay, let's try it again. Alright, there's our score. You can see it just ate 1, and it went up to 1, 2. Alright, so score looks good. If we crash, it gives us our score. Alright, so what we want to do now is that check high score function. Alright, because we want the high score to display here, and then we also need the logic for when we beat the high score to replace it. Okay, so that's all going to go in the check score function. So let's uncomment that, and we'll create that. We'll just put it, actually we'll put it right here. Okay, check score. Alright, so we're going to pass in the current score. Now, not only are we going to compare them, but we're also going to save the high score in this function, and we're going to do that with the local storage API that HTML5 provides. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is check to see if the high score is even there. We're going to check to see if it's null or not. Alright, so we're going to say the way you can call a local storage variable is pretty simple. We're just going to say if local storage dot get item, and we're just going to call it high score. Alright, so if that is equal to null, okay, so basically this logic is going to say if there is no high score, we're going to do something, and then we want an else. Okay, if there is a high score. Alright, so if there's not a high score, then we want to set it to our current score. Alright, because obviously if there's no other score, then that's the high score. And we can easily set a local storage variable by using local storage dot set item. Alright, and we're going to set high score. We're going to set it to whatever the score is. Alright, very simple. Now if there is a high score already, then we need to compare them. So we'll say if, I'm going to say if the current score is greater than the high score, local storage dot get item. Okay, so if score is greater than the high score, then we're just gonna set it just like we did up there. Alright, so now we just need to display the high score. So we can do that with the, let's see, the div of high score. Okay, so we'll use jQuery, and we want the high score div dot HTML. High score, and then we're going to just shoot out that local storage variable. Local storage. And we don't need to always use this get item. We can actually just say local storage dot and then the name of the item, which is high score. Actually, we don't want that S uppercase. Alright, so let's try that. Okay, so you can see the high score is 0. Click to play. Alright, so I grabbed it, and you can see our score along with the high score went up to 1. Okay, so it's going to do the same thing. Okay, so the high score is actually being set in real time, which is kind of nice. Alright, now if we crash, our final score is 5. The high score is also 5. Now if we click to play again, you can see that the current score goes to 0, but the high score stays. Alright, so it's not going to change unless we beat it. Okay, so if we can get to 6, now they should both change. You can see that now the high score has changed. So let's crash. After 7, the high score is now 7, and even if I reload the game, the high score is going to stay the same. Alright, so the final thing we need to do is to make it so that we can reset the high score with this button. Alright, so basically we're just going to create a new function. Now this function is going to be connected to a click handler, so we don't want it within this document.ready. So we want to go all the way to the bottom and get out of that block. Alright, and then we're going to create the function. So we'll call it reset score. And it's going to be pretty easy. Whoop, don't want caps. I'm going to say local storage dot high score. We're going to set it to 0, and then we're just going to display the score, or display the high score. Okay, and we're not going to use jQuery here, we're going to use JavaScript. So we'll create a new variable, call called high score div, and we're going to set that get element by ID, and the ID is high score, high underscore score. Okay, and then we're just going to insert it dot inner HTML, and that's going to just be equal to high score 0. Alright, save that. Let's get rid of this. Okay, reset, and you can see that it's been reset to 0. Now if I keep playing, and let's get this 1, you can see the high score is now at 1. And we can reset it at any time. Actually, you can see there's no colon here. That's just a type error. Let me just fix that. Right here. We just want to put that colon. Alright. So that is it, really. Everything seems to be working. As far as our settings, we can change some of these. Alright, so for instance, we can set the color of the snake to blue. We can change the speed. We can make it easier or harder. Let's change it to 100. And now you can see it's blue and it's moving faster. And you could go a step further. You could actually create like maybe a little form where you could have a select list with the color of the snake as well as the speed, things like that. But this was basically just an entry-level Canvas application, just so you can kind of understand how shapes and animation and all that can work with HTML5.